morning, or depending when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told out of Voice Radio. So today, we're going to be taking a look at a new Bibarel card. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. It's time to talk Bibarel. We've all got a little bit of a soft spot for Bidoof. If it's not for the derpy design, it's because they released this card, and everyone loves this card. But we got a new Bibarel, and we need to look at what it actually does. Now, our translation here does come from the lovely David Hockman over at limitlesstcg.com/translations. And starting off with Bibarel, it's got 120 HP, which means it is in range of Zoroark, which sucks. It's got a weakness of fighting, which is really bad because stuff like Buzzwole's around. But also, you got Pikarom and Zoroark that are weak to fighting. People are trying to counter them. They're going to end up countering you. Oh, that's not ideal. It's got a retreat cost of 2, which is just bad. And it's a colourless Pokemon, which means you get no extra tricks. And you don't get to hit anything for weakness. To be frank, ladies and gentlemen, when we look at the basics of this card, they're really bad. And I don't like them. Not even a little bit. There's almost nothing to like about it. Until we get to the ability. Unaware. Prevent all effects of your opponent's attacks, excluding damage, done to this Pokemon. So your opponent can still damage you, but they can't do anything else. So let's say, for argument's sake, they're going special conditions. Let's say we're going back to Froakie, and your opponent's just trying to bubble. Turn after turn after turn, so that you get paralyzed turn after turn after turn, and you can't do anything. Not Bibarel, ladies and gentlemen. Bibarel ain't got time for none of your shenanigans. Let's say, for argument's sake, because look, I'm going to give away something here, right? We can attack for a double colourless energy, or at least we can use double colourless energy. We will need a third. So there's plenty of stuff around that's going to try and discard that double colourless energy. The Yveltal from Team Up hasn't seen a huge amount of play yet, but I do like its Derail attack that does 30 and discards a special energy. And then if you head into the expanded format, you've got the promo Jirachi, which not only discards a special energy, but gains immunity the following turn if it does so. Bibarel ain't got time for these shenanigans. Because you can't do that. There are a million different things that your opponent would want to do here with their attacks, and they just can't do any of it. Let's say, for argument's sake, your opponent wants to use a Tapu Fini, and they want to use a GX attack that shuffles your opponent's active Pokemon and all cards attached to it into the deck. Well, they can't, because Bibarel ain't got time for any of that. This is great at stalling out the stallers. This is the kind of card where your opponent's got some annoying plan, and there's a million different ways this can go down. There's a million different things your opponent can try and do here. But whether it's trying to get rid of Bibarel, whether it's trying to discard energy from Bibarel, whether it's trying to put special conditions on Bibarel, it really doesn't matter. They're not able to do so. This ability will stop it. And its ability on a Stage 1 non-GX, Alolan Muck won't work, you're not a basic. Glaceon won't work, you're not a GX. So all of a sudden, they've got Slacking. And look, I know Slacking can turn off the ability, but Slacking is essentially seeing no play right now, so they're not going to be turning off the ability. Your opponent isn't going to be able to do very much about this. Now, we got to head back to you've got 120 HP and a bad weakness. So it's not like you're some kind of invincible super Pokemon here. And I'm not going to for a second pretend that you actually are. The fact of the matter is, you are a Pokemon that is a little bit weak and a little bit vulnerable. But your opponent has got to use damage here. They cannot whittle you down using special conditions. They cannot try and get rid of your energy. They've got to take your head on. But you need something a little bit else. This isn't quite enough to make it good in and of itself. It's not reliable enough. Well, that's where the ability Amnesia comes in. Free colourless energy, 60 damage. Choose one of your opponent's active Pokemon's attacks. That Pokemon cannot use that attack during your opponent's next turn. Now, like we talked about with Magmortar earlier on today, if your opponent changes their active Pokemon, even if they then bring the other one active, new Pokemon can't do it, blah, 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 boo, hiss, etc. We don't like it. But you can try and block your opponent here. you can try and stop them using an attack. And the best example here probably is Zoroark. Zoroark essentially has one attack. They've got Riotous Beating. And that's it. Yes, I know technically they've got Trickster GX, but an awful lot of Zoroark decks are not playing Darkness Energy, which means they cannot use it, which makes it a moot point. Ha ha ha. Ha 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 ha. So you can sit there with Bibarel and just block them and then they don't get to attack you. But we've talked about Pokemon like this in the past, and I've mentioned Blacephalon. This is so good against Blacephalon. This is like really hilariously good against Blacephalon. Because Blacephalon's got the attack Mind Blown. Discard as many fire energy attached to your Pokemon, or to put them in the Lost Zone, as you like. 50 damage for each energy put into the Lost Zone in this way. And I've talked about Amnesia attacks before and said you can stop Blacephalon attacking, but then I've immediately followed it up with, well, they've still got Bursting Burn, which burns you and confuses you. No, you don't, ladies and gentlemen. Not against Bibarel. Sure, they can use a GX attack to discard one of their prize cards and attach it if it's an energy, fine. But they can only use that once. And then it's gone, ladies and gentlemen. Then it's gone. And now you're in this wonderful position where they can't attack you, and they can't use Bursting Burn. Maybe they bring up Naganadel. Okay, Naganadel can attack, but unless they've got exactly 3 prizes remaining, they're not getting a 1-hit KO. So you're 2-hit KOing each other, except the second you attack Naganadel, they can't use that attack. So you're not 1-hit KOing with Bibarel almost ever, and neither is your opponent a lot of the time. But what you can do is stop them attacking. Now, when I say they're not going to be 1-hit KOing, with their regular Pokemon, they probably are. But when you turn off their regular Pokemon, they end up trying to attack with stuff like Naganadel. And now all of a sudden, they're not getting a 1-hit KO. And you're turning off the attack. And sure, right, your opponent can retreat. And your opponent can switch out the active. But how many times? How many times can your opponent retreat or get out the active before they end up in a situation where they just can't attack? Because I mentioned Blacephalon, and your opponent's like, not a problem. I'll just retreat into another Blacephalon. I'll just retreat into a Naganadel. Can they keep doing that turn after turn? Sooner or later, they're going to need to actually attack. And Blacephalon's a good example here. Because on the one hand, if I retreat my Blacephalon, I can just get the energy back with Naganadel. Yes, you can. But you need 2 energy on a Blacephalon to attack. And you can keep getting the energy back onto your Naganadel, but you need a second energy on Blacephalon to attack. I don't think Bibarel is going to be an I play it and I win instantly kind of deck. But I do think that Bibarel is going to be one of these, where you're turning off these other attacks, where they're trying to get rid of energy, special condition, etc. And then you sit there and you turn off their only attack and you can win. And there's a whole bunch of others here. Rayquaza only has 1 attack, other than the GX attack, but that doesn't do any damage. Oh, look, now they're not doing anything. Zapdos only has 1 attack. And alright, Zapdos is made to get in and out of the active as often as they can, I'll give them that. But even so, they ain't going to be able to do it forever. Sooner or later, they're going to need something else. Pikachu and Zekrom Tag Team GX only has 1 attack that isn't the GX attack. Ultra Necrozma only has 1 attack that isn't the GX attack. You see where I'm going with this, ladies and gentlemen? This is the kind of Pokemon that in the right deck, in the right way, can just shut your opponent completely out of the game. And that's kind of hilarious. Now, it is very, very important to point out here that this is for free energy, but it's really not a problem. We've already mentioned double colorless energy. It'll fit into a Malamar deck. You can use it in a fire deck with Welder. Any deck you've got that can accelerate energy will work here. And of course, even if you don't, basic energy, double colorless, you're off and rolling. Your opponent can take your double colorless energy out of the picture with something like an enhanced hammer, but they cannot just get rid of it using an attack, and that gives you a huge advantage. I don't know if this is going to be a deck in and of itself, but I do believe rather strongly that Bibarel with Amnesia can turn off attacks. And that can be enough to stop some Pokemon. And the fact that you're also getting rid of any effective attacks makes this way better than your average Amnesia Pokemon. The fact that it's got colourless energy makes it more useful than your regular Amnesia Pokemon. And maybe it never ends up being good, but I'm feeling in a generous mood. I'm in a good mood today, ladies and gentlemen, so I'm giving it between 3 and 4 Wassies. We don't give half Wassies. That would be barbaric. I really, really like this. I think this has the potential to be a phenomenal card in certain matchups. I don't think it will ever be the best deck in the format, but I think there are certain matchups where your opponent is just going to go, I'll switch around for a bit, we're fine. And then they run out of options, and then they lose the game. I really want this to be true. Whether it is or not, ladies and gentlemen, I would love to hear from you. So please do let me know in the comment section. Go nuts. But please remember the rule. Be nice, would ya? And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at The Wassie, and Twitch for some live action at twitch.tv/PTCG Radio. If you want to support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all that, head on over to patreon.com/PTCG Radio, where you can do exactly that. And please do make sure you're checking out youtube.com/WassiePlays, where we talk about games that don't have Pokemon in. But by far the most important thing, as always, look after yourselves till next time. Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.